I'm from California. I learned something.
Good morning, Admiral. Cybersecurity, I'm going to focus a little bit on cybersecurity.
Yeah,
And first,
I
thank the
guess I can get up.
Coast Guard for really helping our Ports Caucus
Oh, yeah. Well,
when we, in our latest discussions about cybersecurity, and I'll ask about that. It's both a critical part and component of our homeland security and also security for our transportation network. And we all know that an attack upon our critical or crucial infrastructure such as the ports can have a tremendous impact on goods movement and in turn the entire U.S. economy. So the first question is, what is the Coast Guard doing to keep our ports safe from cyber attack and to also safeguard our critical maritime infrastructure? And then the second question is, and I want to, again, thank you for your help, what did the Coast Guard learn? What lessons have we learned from the recent attack against Maersk, which, as we saw, closed down a number of their terminals, throughout the APM terminals throughout the nation? So kind of what are you doing and what have we learned now, using this as a learning experience?
Great question, Congressman. So for more than 14 years now, we have had area maritime security committees in 37 of our major ports where we have a captain of the port. Let me take LA Long Beach as an example. They also have cyber subcommittees on these area maritime security committees. Now, when the committees were first stood up, there were security measures that were put into place: fencing, cameras, lighting, transportation worker identification credential, and the like. Industry wasn't so pleased with some of these requirements, but it was written into law. Now we're dealing with a whole new threat called cyber. We are working with the National Institute of Standards of Technology. We'll actually put out voluntary guidelines to all of industry, but I use LA Long Beach as a great case study. I was out at Long Beach container terminals last year, and they have nearly fully automated that container terminal. Drayage trucks that are moved autonomously, they use batteries, they don't burn fossil fuel.
We're talking about Long Beach Container Terminal.
Yes, sir.
Right now.
So now we have an event with Maersk Terminals. In fact, I will be in LA on Friday of this week, and I'm going to meet with Maersk to say, what did they learn from this? What they immediately did was they shut down most of their operations. This particular piece of malware erases all of your data. So they took mostly precautionary measures by doing a shutdown before their data would have been erased, and then to make sure that they can bring those systems back online. What it does indicate is the lack of resiliency in our entire maritime transportation system. If you look at all of maritime shipping, and if there's a cyber event that brings that down. As you well know, off the coast of California, this is just-in-time inventory, and $1 billion plus of commerce goes through the ports of LA Long Beach each and every day. And it doesn't stop there. It goes on a rail system. It goes through the Rust Belt, and it goes to New York, and it goes on to Antwerp from there. So any disruption along that supply chain has a global consequence, and what that did elevate is we can't take our eye off the maritime domain. Maersk is doing a great job. Sometimes you're beholden to a subcontractor, someone else that has access to your data. They provide a backdoor into your systems. And so that's the vulnerability that we need to look at closing as we start looking at what is cybersecurity. And the other challenge is, how do we hold those accountable who would actually try to disrupt our supply chains? Because this is really an attack on our national security at the end of the day.
Did you learn anything that you might change some of our procedures or interactions with other agencies? Out of this, what did we learn? What did the Coast Guard learn in terms of how effective they were in responding to this and having responses, coordinated responses from all the potential agencies that are impacted by a cyber attack?
Yeah, well, the first thing we learned, Congressman, is that we don't have the cyber cavalry, if you will, a cyber protection team that can go out and immediately apply patches to allow an industry to recover from a cyber attack. What we also learned, though, is Maersk reported. And sometimes there are disincentives to reporting that your systems may have been compromised, because obviously, you know,
Right.
in the private sector that could have secondary consequences. But the fact they were forthcoming, so we could look across the entire cyber domain within the maritime transportation system and ascertain that this was the only one that had been singled out across all the maritime stakeholders, but allowed us to do a full sweep. Is this part of a concerted attack against multiple domains besides Maersk?
Well, I'm going to yield back. I want to thank you. I mean, I see this as the critical issue moving forward, is how we implement more cybersecurity, and that we understand just what we're up to, and that the industry, you know, this is a cooperative venture between the Coast Guard, private industry, our ports, and this could have a devastating impact upon the U.S. economy. And so I'm just really pleased that you're on it and that you're working on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're gonna wrap up here.